This property right here, we can turn it into 8 units, or we can turn it into two families, or maybe 4 townhouses in a row. That's the coolest part of what we do, is we actually create the neighborhood. So what is in demand? We take a look, we see what is the product that's least fitting, what is the product that's most fitting. Obviously avoid the least fitting product, right? That's exit off right out the gate. And then see who's moving into the neighborhoods. What's the average age? What's the average income? We try to cater specifically to that. So 2 families or 8 units, that's what we've got right here. Across the street, we've got 10 units. Look at this bad boy. Primordial combat. So just in case you need to, kick somebody on site, we got a combat studio right next door. That's the serious level that we're talking about in developments, people. God, can't they get it, Robbie? West Englewood's prime for a change. Exactly, so we want to transform it. We're transforming this. When it's done, this one's 10 apartments. It's going to be 2 floors on top of a podium deck with parking and also an office suite. Now remember, corner lots that get you more parking. And in our area, the parking ratio is everything. So more parking means more units. More units means a better site for the development, means a scalable site for a developer, and the community gets more money with ratables and a better streetscape. So look at this. This thing right here has been broken into so many times, and we try to avoid it. We've got a little bit of a makeshift here with some of the windows opening up. I believe at one point we had these all blacked out. I'm not sure how these opened up, but I'll have to talk with the team. I built my first app, by the way. Yeah, dude. An accountability and tracking app for my sales team.
Really?
Yeah, because we have one in Keller Williams that we use for the office, but if every single agent isn't plugged in, specifically using it, it's untrackable. So even with a great system, if you're not using it, it's not a great system. So a simpler system, I dumbed it down and made it like stupid gamified proof, and I took it like I was with my daughter, and how do I train a 10-year-old on accountability and productivity? And I threw it in chats, kept prompting, kept going through it, and eventually it started spinning out, which would be a beta test of the vision that I wanted to go with. And so far, so good. So we're pulling up on one of our next sites right now, that this one, we just got approved for 15 luxury apartments. It's gonna have a beautiful rooftop, enclosed parking, all modern sleek designs, open floor plans, high-end finishes, all LED lighting, common areas that are workstation oriented and business centers. Boom, and you know what it is? An old funeral home. Look at this bad boy right here. So here's what we got. First time I saw this property, I said, there's gotta be something here. I was evaluating it, seeing what the better price would be for a seller in terms of price per square foot on the building, the income and expense cash flow, and also then third, the untapped, the dirt to dollars, baby, Bruja style. That dirt to dollars quantified pretty good here. So the seller, we agreed on getting into a point where we can get a sale and develop. So this corner lot right here is a more appropriate development because it allows for ingress and egress on 2 sides of the street. So you can go in on 2 different areas and exit, which allows for a higher parking ratio. So these things are super cool when you go to developments because depending on what it is, it could be 1 deck or it could be 2 decks of parking, depending on height restrictions, on how high you have to go up. Just know once you hit that 75-foot threshold, you turn into a different fire safety and whole economics of a build because you're going high rise. Okay, so always note that. We try to stick below that unless the product's warranted with one of our partner developers that wants that specific product. So this right here, corner lot, we're gonna take it across. We got a busy day in Cliffside Park. My goodness, just wanna walk across the street. But this is what makes it so sexy, man. We got tons of cars, which means tons of butts in the beds. You'll see, this is the parking deck right here. What we utilize is a strategy enabled to deploy extra parking on the site to be using consistent parking that's within 200 feet. This is what we do. So within 200 feet of the site, we have parking that's attainable to the site. We can use it as an increased ratio to build a bigger building. How cool, right? I always say doing these developments brings out the Tetris and the kid in me because it's a game. And this is my development game. And it's so much fun when you get into the intricacies of it. Next door on here as well, as you go throughout, you'll see we've got a big building. And this one is one of the biggest in Cliffside. and it's called the greenhouse. Now, the greenhouse is one of those buildings that comes in a rare time. You don't usually get them this big, but because the parking was there, the town was able to go with multiple decks. You see this? 1, 2, 3, 4 decks of parking. That's how you can get that huge building right there up. Because without this parking, you are getting no units. So I'll tell you a little story. So right here, I tried to get the owner next door for an assemblage. And no bueno on the assemblage. Assemblage is when you put multiple properties together. So if you're putting a development together and you can get a multiple property assembly of the 1, 2, 3 next door, you can build a bigger site. If you can build a bigger site, it means that you could pay more money for the site, ultimately netting the sellers more money. This way, let's say you're in between or on the fence on a value, but let's say the neighboring property's value together allows you to build an extra 20 units on the site. Boom, 10 and 10, you both win. That'll quantify to maybe even more than your asking price. And that's what we do when we untap dirt to dollars. We give sellers better asking prices, even above what they're asking, because we can pay more knowing that we have our development on the back end. And that's something that secures sellers. That's why we untap dirt to dollars. Whew, thank God the cop let us across the street. All right, so those are 3 properties right there that we have in development world that we're curating right now and maturing. And we bring them like little babies to the world. We get a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger, and then ultimately autonomous on their own. Once they're all rented out, management's in place, they become autonomous, and they go to a passive investor, whether it's held for the family, whether it's held for a company, whether it's whatever it may be. And then that trades. And then ultimately, the last stage of the development, the 8th stage, is that reposition. Let's say 30 years ago. Think about a condo or rental building in your neighborhood that absolutely sucks. Like the worst. Things cracking, falling, nobody. At one point, that was the new sexy girl at the dance. It was the newest one at one point until it became not. When you reposition it, that's what we're talking about when we reference the new stage of basically land packaging and development again, because then you go back to the town, repurpose the building, retrofit it, and the whole cycle continues onward. Beautiful thing.